There are 5 levels of skill for junior designers and you need to be at least level 4 to matter. When you're below level 4, nobody cares about your designs, no job offers, no promotions, you need to level up first. And if someone says that there are 10 levels, they're making shit up. There are 5. Today, I'm gonna show you those 5 levels on a complex web design. Take note what changes between the levels so you can push yourself to a higher one. And we're gonna start with level 5. First thing is consistent spacing. Everything here is a multiple of 8. With the hierarchy setting spacings being 24 and 32. Because of that, nothing is random and everything is a little bit easier to read. Only one typeface is used with just 3 font sizes, 16, 14 and 12. Keeping it under 4 font sizes makes it really a lot easier to read. Because it's not a real project, but rather something for your portfolio, even the photos of the restaurants are picked from a set that has a consistent and similar visual style. Nothing is random. The color palette is simple, minimal, and has a clear, very visible accent color. All the icons are from the same set, and they have consistent style, which includes consistent roundness, scale, and proportions. Level 4 is almost as good as level 5, but there are some little details that make it a tiny bit worse. First thing that you probably noticed already is the spacing. It's not completely consistent and in some places it's just some random number. Then there is the contrast. White text and white icons on pretty light green backgrounds, and also one of the icon labels is a little bit too high compared to the icon itself. The accent color, in our case the green, should be reserved to a handful of items. In our case, it can be in the bottom button if it is an important part of your workflow, and it can signify which tab you're on. But the icons next to Manage Restaurant, the email icon and the phone icon shouldn't be green because there are too many of them, and they're not that important because they are all relevant within one frame, one little box for each restaurant. So they should be a lot more muted and less visible, otherwise our eye can't really focus on what's important here. The most important thing here though is the contrast issue on the green, definitely. But still, this level of design will likely get you hired for a UI role. Of course, we're talking junior designer levels, I hope that is clear. Getting above level 5 to a fully professional design is of course completely possible. You can be better than level 5, but you're not expected to as a junior. You just need to get to level 4 or above as soon as possible. Many junior designers are trying to be very artistically creative with their designs, and that results in problems such as this one. Let's start from the beginning. The spacing is all off, and it's even worse because there isn't enough contrast between the background and the left menu and the background and the cards. It's barely visible where the cards and the menu begin and end, and that makes our eye wonder where everything begins. Next to that, the spaces are pretty random and they are different between the cards. Just notice how the gaps are completely different. The left navigation icons are all mismatched in size, scale and position. Some of them are too big, others are too small, and they are all shifted left or right, so they're not all in one line and not all in one line with the logo. The Send Paper Airplane icon in the Send Daily Report button is way too big compared to the text, and then the text is in italics, and that makes it just a lot harder to read. If you're a junior designer, in your first year, don't play around with italic fonts. It's practically always a recipe for disaster. Unless the search bar is the most important element on this screen, it shouldn't have this dark, thick outline as it has right now, because it catches too much attention. And then inside it, the search icon and the search label are in our green, which makes them a little bit less visible, and it's pretty chaotic up there. We also have some mismatched shapes. The buttons in the cards have sharp corners, same as the button that sends the daily report. But then the show open restaurant panel and the search bar are all completely rounded, and that basically doesn't match. You need to pick one sharpness of the corners if you're a junior designer, because yes, you can pull off multiple different kinds, but it has to make sense in the design, and here it doesn't. Open restaurant indicators next to the restaurant names are all mismatched. They're not in the same vertical line because obviously when placing one of them it probably slipped a little bit and moved a little bit too much to the left. Same thing with the logo. The icons are also not in the center of those little circles on the map. Some of them are a little bit too high, others a little bit too low. Level 3 is where most juniors I encounter usually are. In many cases, the reason is simply trying to finish the project and be proud of it as quickly as possible. So double check and then triple check every little spacing, every little font size and every color. Then there is some questionable color choices and pretty bad typography. To solve the color choices, start most of your project with a white background, dark text, almost black, and one accent color. I made a separate video just about that and I'm gonna link it in the description. You should probably do that for the first year of doing design. So yeah, get good first. A lot of the issues here are the same as in level 3, but one element in this level is actually better than in level 3, and that's because on level 3 the designer really wanted that kind of nicely blending in cards with the background, and here they went with just a black outline, and that way the cards are more visible. But also you can much easier see where everything is completely misaligned with different vertical spacing between every single card. And then the photos are also different sizes, so the distance from the photo to the content is different. There is also an extra serif font which doesn't really fit anything in here and it's a little bit too small for the headings. And that's also one thing that a lot of juniors that are still trying to learn design are doing. Trying to use as many fonts as possible, thinking that having a lot of options will make the design better. But no, initially stick to just one typeface per design with 3 to 4 sizes and maybe 3 weights total. Next to being different sizes and positions, the photos also don't really match as well because there is one with too many blue elements in there and then there is one with green that doesn't match the aesthetics of the top and the very bottom one. And now let's talk the elephant in the room, the hardcore eye-hurting left menu. Yes, this kind of navigation is important, but really try to avoid colors in the background of the main navigation. It should either be black, gray or white. That's because you really need to think logically here. The navigation here with this color seems as if it's the most important thing on this screen because it just screams for attention. And what's really important here is the actions that you're taking, so you can manage a restaurant or show the open ones or call or email them. And if the menu is that visible, it takes all the attention away from the actual content. Another thing is green circles on the map to signify locations, having a green avocado icon for the open restaurants and then a light gray icon for the closed one that is barely visible on that background. But if you look at this closely and look at level 3, you'll see that the fixes between those levels aren't really that big, but they make a huge difference. And the last thing that's also worth noticing is where you cut out this entire layout for like a dribble shot, make sure that the roundness of the corners is the same every place, because in here on the right we have a little bit of white little borders sticking out. That shouldn't look like that. Quick note, this channel's subscribers on average are on a higher level than those who are not subscribed, so you know how to fix that, just click the damn button. And this level is something that we see pretty rarely, but yes, it does happen. The main navigation has an even worse color, the selected item in the menu is practically invisible, the button in the left menu at the bottom is shifted a little bit to the left, That send icon is too close to the send report label. Then there is some other green background in the middle under the cards for some reason, and that basically makes this entire screen scream for attention, and basically the things that are important, the cards, are the least visible, the least attracting attention here. There is way different spacing between the cards, so they're not proportionally spaced out, and the photos are different sizes and different proportions as well. Fonts are completely misaligned, so in some cards they're shifted a little bit to the right, in others they're not. They're different sizes for the exact same label type. Basically it makes it all very chaotic. The distances between the buttons in the cards are completely different, and then one of the buttons is green for some reason. There is a decorative font for the restaurant names, and seriously, if you're a junior designer, you should only use sans serif fonts for the first year. Don't go decorative, don't go script, don't go handwriting. It really takes years of practice to get good at it. And last but not least, this is something that happens on all design levels, and if somebody catches you doing that, it disqualifies you almost immediately. And of course I mean typos. If you say restaurant or ménage, it just really doesn't sit well, because if somebody catches that, it shows that you're sloppy. And that's it. Save this video so you can come back to it later when you're not sure when you're working on your web design. And obviously, have a beautiful day.